Hello everyone, I'm MatZap. This is my review of Minecraft Dungeons, which is based on the playthrough on my channel. Do note there will be spoilers, so don't watch if you want to protect yourself from spoilers. What is Minecraft Dungeons? I'd like to akin it to baby's first dungeon crawler. But just because it's simple doesn't mean it's bad. It creates an entry point for people to get into the isometric dungeon crawlers like Diablo or Baldur's Gate. On the other hand, many parts of the game come off horrendously mobile-like or RNG reliant, which gives the game a strange tone and feeling. Sure, this game is a game for kids, but that doesn't mean it gets to get away with everything that it does. The story of Minecraft Dungeons is kind of a weird one. Both this game and its predecessor game, Minecraft, tell their tales mostly in lore, so the actual story of the game is not really as prevalent. But there is an outline of a story in Minecraft Dungeons. Go beat the Argillager. That's pretty much it. Each stage has its own little intro story and final words, but there's no real characters or anything that would make a story proper other than an antagonist. And this is what makes it hard to rate the story, because if you think about just the plot of the game, then it's only something that's serviceable to the gameplay. But the lore of Minecraft Dungeons feels deeper than the plot, with named environments and a bunch of enemies that don't appear in the normal Minecraft. The little intro cinematics for each stage really showed me how little of a story this game actually has, and a great example of this is Pumpkin Pastures. This stage tells you to go warn a town before the illagers come, but through the stage you realize you were too late. That's it for the stage. Wait, what? Why were there no villager NPCs? Anything more interesting than a, "Oh, you failed, let's move on." I'm not expecting some sort of 40-hour epic the likes of a Final Fantasy game, but it feels like they taunt you with a story development only to have nothing happen from it. Having dialogue with NPCs would have made the story and world of this game feel much more fleshed out, even if it was just villagers cowering in fear of the Argillager, which, speaking of, the Argillager doesn't really feel like a threat or a big bad guy. He just feels like a pest that we are tasked with defeating. There's nothing overall in the story that I'm connected with or invested in, which that alone is the most important thing to making a good story. This section gets a 5 out of 10 for me. This is rating just the plot and the important details of the stages, and not any sort of weird deep lore, as that doesn't seem to actually affect the main storyline of Minecraft Dungeons. And even a kid's game can have a good story without being dark or complex or violent, but Minecraft's dungeon story is straight up just not good. Minecraft Dungeons gameplay is fun yet shallow. Instead of classes and class abilities, you have to work with upgrading your gear and utilizing artifacts, aka items with special abilities. It's unique and actually works fairly well in its own right. It certainly is easy to understand and allows for multiple play styles and playthroughs. You can carry up to 3 artifacts with you, which again gives you unique abilities, such as pulling enemies in, shooting a laser beam, or summoning a llama to your team. Some artifacts require souls, which is easily explained as MP that you get from slaying your enemies. While it can be annoying in some situations where you need souls to mow down the hordes of enemies but you don't have any, having to get MP solely from defeating foes is a lot more interesting than having an MP pool just to draw from. Interestingly enough, there is a leveling system in Minecraft Dungeons. However, as far as I'm aware, the only bonus you get from leveling up is 1 more point of enchantment to work with. Enchanting is what allows you to upgrade your gear, in which there are 3 slots, with up to 3 options on each slot on what ability you want to give your weapon, bow, or armor. The enchantments are pretty unique and diverse as well, ranging from increasing your speed after a roll, to creating a aura of fire around you at all times, to giving you a huge defense buff after you heal yourself. As I played, I noticed one gigantic problem with this game. Its progression. While leveling up does give you enchantment points, and there are higher difficulties of each stage to scale with your gear, it's all based on RNG, or randomness. It's random what gear drops and what enchantments are given to you. During my playthrough, I had gotten these Fangs of Frost, dual daggers that seemed very powerful. So I salvaged my glaive, destroying the glaive, and dumped the points into the Fangs of Frost. Big mistake. I went into the final stage and got smeared hard. So I had to go back to the other stages to find a replacement weapon that was better suited. But instead of finding anything of worth at the garbage of a blacksmith, more on that later, I had to grind stages for 2 hours to find a replacement. 2 hours was roughly a fifth of my total playtime. Given I kind of put myself in that situation, but one gear mess up cost me 2 hours to find anything I could switch out to, and I had no idea when I would find something worthy of use, and there was no way to get stronger without getting that lucky drop. Another aspect of RNG that's really annoying is the shops themselves. There are 2 shops, the blacksmith and the merchant. Both sell not great items, which is okay in itself. The game is designed around you finding better gear on your own. However, you have to pay to get a random item. To better explain, you have to gamble what piece of junk you get. Why is there gambling in a kid's game, period? Much more in the shops, the only place you can spend your in-game money. Not only is it an annoying mechanic, but it's questionable to be in the game in the first place. All in all, this section of the game gets a 6 out of 10 due to its RNG. While the game isn't very in-depth or engaging in the first place, the RNG gear drops that influence your pacing and progression kills the experience. Graphically, Minecraft Dungeons is solid. It actually makes the blocky design look really good and intricate, and the environments are very highly detailed. The diversity in the stage's themes and color palettes are really satisfying and very welcome. When music is playing, the tracks suit the situation very well and are great to listen to, even outside of the game. Even the sound effects are really good, although I do wish the eating sound effects from the normal Minecraft had made it to Minecraft Dungeons. There is one thing about the presentation of the whole game that I just don't really like though, and that's how a lot of it feels like I'm playing this weird mobile game. From the RNG shops, to the recommended power of each stage, to the crate you get at the end of each stage, the only thing we're really missing is microtransactions. I did want to point out that I do appreciate the end of stage crate and the recommended power stuff, but it's just the way they present it makes it feel very mobile-like and something that I don't think was a very good choice. Overall, I give this portion of the game a solid 8 out of 10. Pretty much everything is good, it's just the mobile game feel of it that brings it down quite a bit, it makes it feel just somehow wrong. Heads up, ending spoilers ahead. If you don't want the ending spoiled, go to the time that's shown here. There are 2 parts of the ending for me. The final boss and the actual ending, quote unquote. The final boss fight is great. It's my favorite boss in the game by far. Not only does it have 2 phases, the good old final boss trick right there, but it also has the most unique gimmicks in a boss fight out of all the bosses in the game. The first phase is just the Arch-Illager, the small guy, who camps in the middle of the stage where there's only a teeny tiny amount of space and he shoots these cone projectiles at you. Occasionally he'll summon a line of archers or a group of axemen and he can enchant them to make them harder to deal with. The second phase, however, is a lot more interesting. The Arch-Illager swells with energy and becomes the Heart of Ender. In this phase, the Arch-Illager is a giant Enderman-like creature that leaves a fire trail behind it wherever it goes. During this phase, it can shoot out 4 beams that spin, and usually the heart will spew these things that catch the ground on fire to make the dodging of the beams more tricky. Then it can also sink into the ground and bring up these 4 heads that shoot lasers in 4 random directions before rising back out of the ground. Both phases of this fight are the best parts of the game. It was genuinely fun to fight against this crazy, huge boss, and very satisfying to defeat it. A lot of the other bosses in this game just don't have the same balance of enjoyment and challenge as the Arch-Illager / Heart of Ender. But that's where the good parts of the ending, well, end. No pun intended. The final cutscene is nice only in the fact that we get a cinematic. Basically, the Arch-Illager loses, and the heroes, quote-unquote, decide to befriend the Illager, and they all go home. But it has this weird thing where it's finally over, but is it? And then it just cuts you to unlocking the next difficulty and chilling at the base camp. Where are the credits or some sort of congratulations? It's just so jarring that there wasn't any feeling the game actually ended or any sort of satisfactory conclusion. Don't get me wrong, I don't expect a 2 hour credit scene the likes of Death Stranding or anything crazy. Why is there just no roll credits or something? It makes the ending feel significantly less satisfying and just overall kind of lame. I give the ending a 5 out of 10. The only good part about the ending was the actual boss fight. The ending itself was just really, really bad. In conclusion, Minecraft Dungeons is a mediocre at best dungeon crawler with the Minecraft brand slapped on it. It pains me to see it fail in almost every way because I can see the potential for it to have been an excellent video game. Unfortunately, it's plagued itself with its RNG progression and a bland, dull story that crushed many potentially good aspects of the game. I'm sure kids will still find the game enjoyable, but from a critical standpoint, this isn't a high quality game. And so far, the DLC hasn't done much to make it better, and unless the DLC fundamentally changes the way the game is played, I don't think this game is going to get much better. Final score 24 out of 40, which equals a D minus. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a fun new type of project for me, and I hope you enjoyed it regardless if you agree or disagree. This took a lot of work, about 12 hours I think. So I would seriously appreciate if you'd share this with any friends you think might be interested, and like and subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next one.